The next conversation is by far my personal favorite. I know that the last one is a lot of people's favorites because we get a lot of women who are in corporate spaces and who are dying for that knowledge. This one is my favorite. I love talking about money. I love talking about money, especially with women. Especially with women. Because I know how women become when they have economic abundance and independence. I've seen how women have shaped their lives in a better way. I've seen how women have shaped their communities in a better way. I've seen how they've made bold, courageous decisions because they could afford their dreams. So I love having this conversation, and I'm so honored that Nedbank has agreed to go on this wild ride with me, because I came up with this wild idea where I said, what if we got two ladies from our tribe to be part of this conversation, to tell us their true story of the challenges they faces, the things that they've won in, and how they are seeking help. Nedbank was kind enough, the team, I sent them a message this morning and I said, thank you for agreeing to this wild idea, because it is definitely a wild card, but it's one of the things I love about the brand. It is their courage to be experiential and to understand their consumers better. So I am going to welcome Kensani Nobanda on stage, who is coming on the panel as an expert, not as an expert, as a representative of the Nedbank brand, and therefore sharing with us some of the insights around how they've explored, particularly the female economy. I'm correct. Thank you for being with us. And then I'm going to invite our two ladies who are bold enough to say, we want to share our stories because we are dying to get help. We want to go on a financial transformation journey. And if this is our chance to change our lives, we're taking it and we're going to tell our story. Lisigo and Lisigo. It was a coincidence. Lastly, I'm going to call Dr. Frank to the stage, the only gentleman in this panel, but not the only gentleman in our panel today. And Dr. Frank is a head of financial wellness and advisory at Nedbank. I actually was thrilled that Nedbank has a role like this, which particularly focuses on financial
Yolanda doesn't
wellness.
believe it.
Oh, I'm right?
Until Lisigo come back.
I was really thrilled when I found out there is a role like this. I did read through your biography as well, and I said, I need help from Dr. Frank myself. So I am thrilled to be having this conversation with you. Kenty, I interfaced with the Nedbank team, particularly your team, around your passion and ambitions in understanding the female economy. I was blown away, firstly, that there was such deliberateness around better understanding this consumer and what their needs are and how you can help them. The bank can help them. I feel like Nedbank people embody the brand so much. When I say you, I'm talking about Kinsey and Nedbank, just so that everyone is aware. What was the motivation? What is the curiosity around this particular demographic for the organization and for yourself?
Yeah, thanks for that, Nomdeni. Hi, everyone. Hey. Thank you for having me. I guess maybe let's take a step back. It's always an interesting one for me, right? Because if you think about, especially, I guess, in the apartheid era, who was holding families together financially? Women. If you think about it even now, like men might, before I got married, I remember getting advice, and I won't say from who, but if I told you from who, it will be very funny. And this guy said to me, man, actually very old man, he said to me, you know, with your husband, he must be the head of the house, but you must be the neck. So what does the neck do? That's the person who actually moves the head and controls the head. It was actually the chairman of PSL who gave me this advice, which is why Ivan Koza, which is why I think it's very funny. The reason I say it is because in many ways, women have actually been managing household finances, ensuring that families are able to get by, even with however much that they have. So I guess as a starting point, it's not like we had this big aha, right? Like it's actually always been there. It's just never been something that I guess as an organization or many organizations have really focused on. And if you look at banking advertising, and I'll raise my hand on this, banking advertising, you would really think men are they might be the ones bringing the money, but the people who are the ones who are making sure that the money goes long, helps the family, is actually women. So when we sort of set on that insight, we then said we actually need to make sure that we're creating solutions that ensure that we help women to be able to, achieve what they can.
Yeah.
I think that's the first part in taking a step back. I think there's a couple of other things. If you just look at what's happened with females over the last few years. So firstly, a lot of focus on development and all of that has been around women. In fact, that's why there's probably programs like Mentor a Boy Child and all of that, because there's maybe a realization that there's been too much focus on women. But what that's done for women is it's given us opportunities that we never had in the past. So what does that mean? If you look at from an earning perspective, so in general, if you take 100% of the economy and you look at how much of that economy women are earning, in the last few years, it's gone from 20% to 26%. So it's still very low at 26%, but it's growing. If you look at from an education perspective, there's more women in South Africa getting degrees versus men. Women are actually challenging themselves much more to be more successful. So if you ignore, so there's a selfish thing, of course, as a bank, right? Because you're basically ignoring a space in the market in the context of the sort of things that you can do, the sort of products and services that you can do that can actually incredibly grow your own business and your own organization. And we should never shy away from saying that we want to target women quite specifically. I know Lizzie is in the room. She's at Nedbank, and when we talk about the female economy, it is massive. So that's actually why for us it's something that we think is a massive growth vector, a massive growth driver for the organization. But I also think we'll have a big impact on family in South Africa because of the role that women play. But tonight we don't want to go to Konka and flash bottles, right? Yes. We want to make sure that actually our families are surviving and that we're making a positive impact. And that's why it's important that women then get empowered as they go through that journey. But I have to say, Nomdeni, like I say, we've been doing it. And that's the thing that as women we must own. The reason a lot of, especially Black South African families are where they are right now, most of us, how we got to varsity is our moms, like more than anything else,
Thank you, Kenzie. Dr. Frank, I'm going to come to you.
Thank you.
And I would love for you to share a little bit about what inspired you to take on this journey of better understanding or participating in financial wellness, just as a conversation, as an expert in the space. I feel like it's a job I could have done if I had known earlier that there's something like that. But because of my passion in seeing people economically independent and how I see so often that it's information, lack of information and access that really trips people up from their ability to take their lives to the next level. What has been your journey and what has been the inspirations for you to be working where you are, doing the work that you do? And maybe share a little bit about what it has been and what you've studied.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Fantastic. I just want to start by saying, I'm feeling very special today. Just saying, right? What an awesome opportunity. And it really gives me a privilege to get an opportunity to say a couple of things that we're very passionate about, particularly at Nedbank, around women and money. At Nedbank, one of the things that excites me every single day to work there is really this idea that we look each other in the eyes and we say, we money experts to do good. What does that mean? And I'll link that to my own money journey. I think it says a couple of things. The first is money is so central to our lives, whether we like it or not, right? To get something to eat, to go to work, you need money to pay for rates. Yet, is it not amazing that something so central in our lives, we hardly get an opportunity to learn how to manage it? I want you to reflect on your own life, where the dinner table discussions around, in our household, this is money that comes in. And it's not necessarily Abazali telling you how much, but kind of giving you the awareness that there's things to pay for, money comes in, perhaps, they have a loan on this car or even on this house. It hardly happens. And what is the outcome of that?
Yeah.
It's mistakes. Not that mistakes are necessarily bad because we can learn from them. But there are certainly some mistakes that we should avoid. We don't need to pay for them, And so, for me, when you say money expects that you're good, and my own journey, it's really anchored on my own experiences. So I'll tell you briefly a couple of things. I've been married for 25 years. And I've embarrassed my wife a lot about money. So let me tell you the one that turned the direction. So I've been working in an asset management firm in 1998, and I always laugh a little bit when I think about it because it was such a turning point. So we had a little flat in Braamfontein. Because I'm one of those guys, I kind of said to my wife in 97, we're doing honors, and I said to her, it was the most unromantic proposal. So I kind of just said, Tuli, how about, then I did kind of a little bit of a pause. And I looked, we kind of, just start our life together. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're finishing your degree this year, I'm finishing my degree next year, And she agreed. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? And so we start together, very young, earning so little, 42,000 a year, that's what I was earning in 98. She's earning 36,000 a year. Please, the news were actually a year, not a month. January 98 to June 98, I've accumulated so much debt. The thing we call latex today. Supporting a extended family, first person in the house to get a degree, little bit of catch-up consumption. I buy this awesome VTech, all those little things. So much so that June 98, I owe over 80,000. And I earn, as I just said, 42. Before I know it, we used to say those days, they've put me at the ITC. You know that expression, right? Which means I'm now blacklisted. I have gone to my... Yes! I don't know if the panel knew. Kenzie, I don't know. Is it okay for me to say this?
Absolutely.
My boss is in the audience. I didn't say it at the interview. Anyway, I've said it. It's out. I get blacklisted. I'm struggling with money.
Yeah.
Then I'm at OK Bazaars. Jorrison Street, Braamfontein. The trolley is full. Utululwano tool is right by me. I swipe. They give you those fancy cards when you just graduated. You can see where this is going. Swipe, decline. Confidently, I say, oh, there's money there. It's the machine. Take 2, decline. And then they politely says, can you go to the office and kind of talk to the manager? They'll phone the bank. They phone the bank. To cut a long story short, there's no money.
Yes.
And you have to leave the trolley. And they have to walk out. That day, I said to myself, there has to be another way. This is too stressful. I can't continue life like this. I committed to manage money better.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of me working towards getting my master's in finance, becoming a certified financial planner. So what turned it around for me was financial stress. It was too much. It was the arguments in the house. We just got married. And yakaban about money, And so for me, what a privilege to be at Nedbank. What a privilege every single day. I've just come from Alex, right? Helping entrepreneurs manage money. Why? I want to go back to what Kenzie said. It's not about money. It's about households. When a family is stressed about money, when a parent says, sorry, I can't even get you a little meal that I've been promising, a happy meal. It's not about the parent saying no. It's about the kid saying, I can't trust this parent.
Yes.
How can they not have 15 rand? They said last month they would have it. And this month they don't have it. And next month they don't have it. Can you see the impact on parenting?
Yeah.
Can you see the impact on parenting?
Yeah.
And it's not only the parent. Then there's shame. I'm ashamed. I can't get my kids a happy meal. And so for us at Nedbank, for me, the passion is how can we empower people to manage something so central, something we don't get trained when you are growing up. If we can do that, it's not about money. We're nation building. I'm a nation builder. That's how I see my job. Thank you. Long answer.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I really, really love how you contextualize, I think, a passion that I share, and I say it all the time, this idea of having money conversations as a nation-building exercise. I'm going to go to Lesego and Lesego. They do not know each other. They ended up here by just deciding that they're going to fill in a financial wellness form that we shared in the week. We literally turned this around, I think, in 3 days. And we got so many women signing up and saying, we would love to take part in this transformational journey. And there's something that Dr. Frank touched on now, which was going to be a segue to my question to the ladies. This idea of shame around our inability to pursue a specific task. That could be groceries, that could be shopping. For someone else, it could be getting a Louis Vuitton bag because that's what everyone has around them. It differs for everyone at different levels. But all of it carries shame. Lesego and Lesego, I want to understand how you went over the hurdle of, should I decide to participate in this? Am I not ashamed of what people will think of me? What was the driver for you to share your story? And if you're comfortable, please do share your story with our audience today.
Which Lesego?
Any Lesego.
All right. For me, I just want to be free. It's as simple as that. I want financial freedom. I have 2 little girls, and you know.
Was that a way?
Yes, and I want to be serious. I want to be disciplined. I want to change my mindset about money. For me, you know, to do things because I really can afford them, not because it's just an impulsive decision. But now I've also got children, and I have to make sure that, you know, they are provided for, and I want to instill good money habits within them. So it's just that good understanding of money. You know, I know like sometimes we get financial advisors and you get this product and this product and product, but I think what I've learned is that it's more than that. You know, there's a psychology, there's a mindset that you need to address as well. So that's why I want to go on to this journey.
Please, we have to clap for her.
Wow.
Lesego.
I don't think there'll ever be a better moment to say thank you to Nedbank and to Agenda Women for this opportunity. What may sometimes feel like just getting an event done or doing what your job requires of you, you never really know the impact it has in someone else's life. And for that, I'd like to say thank you so much. I remain indebted. I have no doubt whatsoever that the coming years of my life are built on this moment and the journey I'm going to be taken on for the coming 12 months. For that, let me say thank you. Thank you so much. On my journey with money, I said it in my story when I was applying to be here. And I said that I come from a household where, not even just a household, a lineage where I have not seen anyone model a healthy relationship with money. And what that meant is that those who have it are enslaved by it. So they have it to demonstrate that they have it. Their goal with having money is to show people that they have it. And what that does is that more than being focused on outrunning poverty, you're focused on depicting having arrived at a destination of financial freedom. And what that did for me is that, so I'm 24 years of age. I did. I'm gonna give the context for that. I don't usually just give away my age, but I thought I should now.
Yeah.
So I'm from Burgersfort, and when I completed my matric, I told my parents I want to go study in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Coming from a family where just getting me basic education seemed luxurious, my dad took me out of my other siblings and said, I hope you pass so that they can also go. So without placing an ultimatum on me, I knew that the stakes were high. And I knew what I had to make out of that. When I told my parents I want to go study in Cape Town, the conversation was not a one-day conversation. They called my uncles from Oliven to come and channel me because I was delusional. At the time, we hadn't even received our matric results, you know. And I was firm on it. I'm going to study in Cape Town. And ultimately, I told my mom that the reason it's important that you release me out of everything I've known is because I will not know what to mirror if the only thing I am exposed to is this.
Yeah.
And she did, you know, she did. She released me. I did my LLB at the University of Western Cape, and that was the beginning of my life. In 2020, I completed my Bachelor of Laws. And in 2021, I was unemployed. 2021, I'm unemployed. And now I don't know how to face my dad, who put everything he had into making me what I am. And what I did was to take any job that I could get. I remember having to put away my law degree and work, just make money. And beginning of the year, I earmarked a firm, a black-owned firm in Sandton, and I said, I'm going to work there. And I got offers from other law firms, but they were not that one, and I had to turn them down, despite poverty. I had to turn them down because I knew what it is that I wanted. But now coming to the story of shame. It's no doubt that poverty strips you of your dignity. It makes you feel less than your counterparts. It makes you feel like you have nothing to offer, not just financially, but to conversations, because your voice is backed by nothing. And my decision was that... guys... And just to answer your question of how I decided my story is worth sharing, the reason I said my age is because I wanted to be known that I'm not where I want to be financially, but I know that I am not where I was. And that is the important part. And that in my pursuit of some sort of financial freedom, I have prayed for one thing and one thing only, that when the resources come, I am not a slave to them. Because they are not meant to be served by me. They are meant to serve me. And because I have gotten that opportunity, I can stand here and share my story and share pictures of where I come from and how we are working to transform that without feeling shame. Because once you own something, it cannot strip you of anything. But it's when we buy Gucci, when we buy LV, when we don't really afford it, that we are not owning our circumstances. So when someone posts a picture of where we come from, under the post where we've posted an 80,000 bag, that we are stripped of that which we were trying to buy, which is worth. And I learned that money is not supposed to govern me.
Yeah.
And because of that, every cent that I get now, other than paying rent and, standard costs of having to live, I am building at home. I'm building at home because anyone who has done their articles, I hope my employers won't see this, they will tell you that it's a challenging journey. It's something, it takes everything from you. So what I decided is that if it's going to cost me this much, I might as well put it into something I'll be able to look back at and say, this is what I lost, but this is what I gained for my family.
Awesome. Nice.
Proud. Oh my
Speechless. Well done. Sure. Well done. Wow. Sure.
We love you.
Thank you. Sure. Yeah. Well done. Sure.
You know, when I spoke to Rachel and Nonji at Nedbank about this panel,
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
oh my gosh, this is the last time. When I spoke to Nonji and Rachel about this panel, I said we're going to change people's lives. And I have to tell you, we picked Lesego and Lesego without vetting them or talking to them. I said, Rachel, I know this community.
Yeah.
I know these women. They said, do you think we can pull it off? I said, I know them. I know their struggles, but I also know their might. The reason I'm crying is because this is why I do the work I do.
Yeah.
It's these stories. It's what we're going to see 12 months from now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop crying now and go to Kenzie.
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 You've been crying the whole day.
It was just the morning, and now the ending always gets me. Kenzie, you guys at Nedbank have done a lot of work around better understanding how money habits shape people's behaviors. There's a lot that Lesego has spoken to that really is anchored around her identifying that the behaviors that were in her community, in her home, were going to shape her habits. And she needed to move away to kind of figure out what's new and what's out there. What were key insights that you could share with us today that you discovered around how our behaviors and the behaviors we see around us start to shape our habits when it comes to money?
Yeah, so I think it's such a good question. I think it was about 5 years ago, one of the big insights we discovered was that people are very comfortable to talk about their relationships. They can talk about death. But when it comes to a money conversation, people don't want to have it. So firstly, I think incredible for you two ladies to be able to come here and be to have the conversation. And it's so unfortunate because, I talk about you must face your money. Guys, even if you look away, the situation doesn't change. Doesn't matter, it's the situation. So you have to face your money. And when we recognized that, we worked actually with a psychologist. And what we discovered was that a lot of money habits they come from sometimes a lot of unconscious stuff. How we've been brought up, things that have been said to us, the people that we're with. So we identified 8 archetypes in terms of how people, how they are with money. I'll give you an example. I'm a gifter. And it's important to understand that I'm a gifter, right? Because it means I probably, when I want people to like me, or when I want to please people, I buy them shit. You know what I mean, right? And that's not the best way of spending my money, honestly speaking. And there's different archetypes, and you need to be clear what your archetype is. So we've actually got a survey that you can fill in, and you'll be quite clear what your archetype is. In that archetype, we also tell you, before you even go to in-depth, you can very quickly understand what does that archetype mean in terms of how I spend money? What does it mean in terms of my relationships with other people? Because money is actually, it's a thing, right? Whether it's a car, but it's so deeply psychological, which is why we actually worked with a psychologist to really be able to help people understand what is my relationship with money. And a lot of us have got very bad relationships with money. When we did that work, there were 3 insights that drove actually the campaign that we did at that time. The first insight was 2 out of 3 South Africans spend more than they earn. 2 out of 3 South Africans. 70% of businesses in South Africa fail in their first 2 years of operations because they don't know how to manage money. You can have a fantastic business idea, but fundamentally, if you don't know how to manage money, it's going to fail. And the last insight we had, and this is a big psychological thing around getting rich quick thing in South Africa, right? Pyramid schemes. we actually found that about 30-40% of South Africans lose money in pyramid schemes. And because you, and yes, we are born a good pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
But you think, no, maybe I'm the first one, maybe, you know. So we did a campaign called Money Secrets, which was really around saying to South Africans, it's time to talk about the hardest thing to talk about, money. And it's a conversation that is, as a lot of us didn't grow up with. I'll give maybe a personal thing. I was incredibly fortunate growing up that my parents, so I would say to them, I grew up in a normal middle-class family and went to a private school in Eswatini, and I would see my friends, Swati girl, that's how I'm wearing. And I would say to my parents, like, oh, I want Levi's jeans or whatever. So my mom would say, no problem. Here's your dad and I's income. They would show me their salaries. Here's the family expenses, and they would show me. Da-da-da. Then they would say, do you still want those Levi's? And I would go, no. Like, so from a very young age, I was taught the understanding of income, just a basic level of income and expenses and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was such a useful conversation for me. But a lot of us never grew up like that. So by the time we get to be lawyers at the black law firm that we want, and you just don't know, like, how do I, you know, and you're caught up and you don't understand your money behavior, you don't understand your money psychology, the things and the, you know, that you're going to make. Dr. Frank was very lucky that he picked it up very quickly. A lot of people don't. If you look at our bank's results that we just released maybe 2-3 weeks ago, the bad debts and the impairments that all banks have at the moment, where people just cannot pay for the stuff that they have. South Africa's economy right now is not growing the way it should be growing. Jobs are not there. So it is a tough economic condition. And if you don't manage yourself and manage your own money and understand your relationship with money, you're actually gonna, I don't want to say the word, yourself up. Like, that's what, I'm trying to be a better human being.
I love that, Kinsey, that, you know, we're not only speaking to ideologies, we're speaking to data and facts. We're speaking, you both sit in a position where you have access to what is really, I hope you don't have access to my account. You have access to really what is going on truthfully when it comes to South Africa and some of the challenges that we're facing. Dr. Frank, in the work that you do, I'm curious, when you interface particularly with the female client, what are some of the habits, the money habits that you see consistently in how we're engaging with money?
Oh, what a powerful question. And you know, we've been talking a lot about it in August, being Women's Month, Happy Women's Month.
Thank you.
Right? And so there are unique relationships that women have with money. It's not good or bad. It's just about awareness, right? So I don't want you to judge them as good or bad, but also I want you to reflect on them in your own personal space, because when we do the research, it's in general, we interview 1,500 women and we find the following and we generalize, right? Might not be exactly you, but these are general trends in SA and even in Europe and North America. What is the first one, right, that I see? It's this amazing idea that generally speaking, women are okay with the idea of saving. Meaning, I'm going to put money aside and not spend it. Right? That's saving. So we give a tick on that. However, we have a problem. Because women are not comfortable with investing. Investing means I am going to take some of my money. I want to grow it. But to grow it, I'm going to have to take some risk. It could be buying a property. It could be putting it in shares on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. It could be putting it in exchange, in any product that have more risk than a bank account. Right? Then you find out that, I'm going to lose my money. You know, I want to see it, I want it here growing, right? But it doesn't really grow in your bank account. Think of most successful women you admire. I can tell you, who have made it. They didn't make it by having their money in a fixed deposit account. They take risk. They take risk. You start a business, there's Amanda. You start a business. That's taking risk. You put in your hard-earned money in an idea and you hope, pray, wish it's going to be okay. That's taking risk, right? So one example is this idea that generally you find, so we call it women generally exhibit or show low risk tolerance. I don't want to lose this money, so I'm not going to invest. Right? Where does it come from? That's the second thing. Where does it come from? So Kenzie touched a little bit on it. It comes from lack or low financial knowledge. I just don't know. I hear someone had money in African bank. Yo, what happened to African bank? You get a few examples. And then someone said, Kamela Ngani, Steinhoff. Do you know I saw the drama? I saw it on Showmax. Put your money in shares, it goes. So you've got all these negative stereotypes, and you don't go and explore them. So financial education plays a big role, because when you are empowered with knowledge, you say to yourself, okay, but let me read up on it myself. Let me try it. I've got a little bit of money that I am prepared to put aside. I don't need it for the next 2 to 3 years. Let me buy a few shares. Let me tell you what happens to you when you buy shares. You know, you hear about share price going up, down, Bruce Whitfield 702, what, ne? Can't see net bank results. Hey, that's out there. Just do yourself a favor. Buy 100 net bank shares. Buy 100 Woolworths shares, ShopRite, Discam, any listed, MTN, Vodacom. These brands we consume. They say the economy is slowing down. You run to check what's happening with your shares. Because you want to know the impact of changes in the economy on my money. And that's how you learn. And by the way, you don't need thousands to own shares. You can just put a little bit. And the knowledge, the getting your statement from the company and learning about what are they doing, is it growing or not, it improves your level of knowledge. Right? And for me, that's the other thing I've seen. So the investing part is linked to this idea that, but I don't know. Let me not maybe experiment because I just don't know. So knowledge. The last big one for me is the following. So investing and financial education. The other interesting one is this idea that often, and I think of my mom, standard one education, my father was a taxi driver, so my mom just left it to him, right? So I would not be doing justice to this platform if I don't mention this, socialization, because I also don't want it to come out as we're blaming women, right? My goodness, these texts are hard. There is so much against you. It's a fact. How do I know? Because, one, growing up, parents, and they love it, they're doing what society says they must do, and that's the best they know. They socialize us. They talk to money differently to boys and girls. They give you a picture. You know what? You'll find someone, even though they don't verbalize it, you get married, everything's going to be okay. The other, you must work hard, you're going to work, you're going to this. Subtle messages around money, right? So there's a big impact on how you raised up. And there's an underlying psychology that just says, but I don't need to be involved in this. Someone will. Ladies, I want to tell you today on this awesome platform, no, own your money. Kenzie said, no one is going to do it for you. No one is going to do it for you. Hey? You see, I'm also doing what I learned from my daughter. I'm going to tell you, did you see? No one is going to do it for you. I learned it from my 20-year-old daughter. So, no one is going to come and rescue you. You need to manage your money. You need to be interested. You need to learn. And you need to challenge this societal thing that says, no, someone is going to do it for you. And let me tell you, you touched on it, Lesego. If you don't do it, ladies, I want you to reflect on this. Your discussions, if you've got kids, nieces, with friends, what are you discussing about money? Because if we want to break this cycle We got to have conversations that says, show me, did you get your credit score? And then someone says, hi, how am I going credit score? Then you empower them because you know. So if you don't talk about, who is talking about it?
Yeah.
And for me, those are the three big things: investing, financial education, and kind of socialization. Society wants you to play in a certain kind of, they put you in a box as a woman and money. Break out of that.
Yeah.
Break out of it.
Break out of it. I absolutely love how you touched on the last part around socialization and what we are talking about as girls when it comes to money.
Yes.
Because when you really start to reflect about the last conversation you had with your girlfriends around money,
Yes.
it could potentially, percentage-wise, I'm not doing any research,
Yeah.
could really have led to the idea of, I just want a partner who can just take care of everything.
Correct.
I say it sometimes when I'm tired and I'm like, I just want to bake cupcakes and have a billionaire or something happening because I'm tired.
Yes.
And it is these nuances of socialization that allow statements like that to even be jokes.
Yes.
But it's true. The first time I came across an app, I'm not going to mention names, where I could buy shares, it was through a male partner who encouraged me to explore those possibilities. And I've never looked back. It is the simplest thing to buy shares. I was also shocked by how many people don't know how cheap it is to access shares. I did go ahead and buy shares, and I'm very, very happy because I chose the ones that have dividends as well. So now and again, I get a little bit of money coming in, which I then reinvest into buying more shares. And I think it's such a powerful conversation to also have with women because we have children. What I then did is I got my kids to download the same app and told them they need to buy shares. So as little as 100 rands.
Correct.
As little as 100 rands. I'm going to tell you guys what the app is. I can't talk about it here. As little as 100 rands. I will definitely share. I will definitely share the app.
We have one as well.
As little as 100 rands, you can buy shares. The reason I wanted to make sure that I don't talk about it is because I do want almost a concentrated journey that we all go on. And I do want to bring, I did say, there was a lady here who came to me who had also applied to be part of this conversation but didn't make it. And I said to her, I'm so sorry, the Listichos got the opportunity. And she said, I really, really wanted it. I know how desperate people are to change their financial lives. And there are so many opportunities that are available. We just need to get the right information.
Correct.
So my children have this app. Another thing that I just need to mention this, trade tax-free savings accounts.
Yes.
Not just for adults, but for children. To start them off young, because it's going to link back to the question I'm going to go to Kenzie about, which is retirement. And I'm speaking about things that are on my mind, things that women are talking about around me. I am turning 40 next year. I am counting back already. I don't know if it happens with everyone. You hit an age and you're like, okay, I potentially have this much left. And I start to do the math around, okay, if I started at 25 and I did this and that and that, and now I'm starting at 40. Okay, then I need to kind of hurry it up and figure out how that works. And it's a little tougher when you start late. The reason I'm sharing this is because if you have children, the best gift you can give them is to solve some of these problems and start to put these behaviors as habits in their own lives. Kenzie, let's talk retirement.
So before I get to retirement, I just want to build on just a point that Dr. Frank made around investments. Because, so what we have at banks, right, is we call it lazy money, where people just leave their money in their bank account. It's actually lazy money, it's your money, and you could be making a lot more out of it, and that's why investments is important. And the thing with investments, though, is you must have a long-term view. So you can take any stock exchange over the last 10 years and look at the returns over the last 10 years. I can tell you, you might have dipped in year 3, year 5 will up, year 6, but 10 year, 15 year, it will grow. You just have to be patient and ensure that you don't now run and remove your money and all of that, which is what a lot of people do. So I just wanted to land that. And then on the children thing, And not necessarily selling the brand here, but I will. So we've just launched a game called Chowtown on Roblox, and it basically teaches kids to be entrepreneurs. So you go into the game, and as a child, you open a restaurant, you learn how to sell, you learn how to market, you learn how to manage your money, how much stock should you buy in order to be able to sell to your clients and all of that. We currently have about 100,000 kids on it, and so for me, the point on like starting kids young on understanding money is like really important. But let me get to retirement. Again, we work on facts and data. Here is a brutal fact about South Africans, which is going to be the same for everyone in this room. 90% of South Africans cannot afford to retire. 90. And it is...
must take that in first, KMC. Just let's take it
There was
in.
definitely a voice that said that's not money.
Yeah. It's a
90%
statistic.
of South Africans cannot afford to retire. For us as a bank, it is important that we help you move from that 90%. Dr. Frank can speak a lot more about the stuff that we have. But again, it's a mindset shift, right?
Absolutely.
Because you think to yourself, will I even get to 60? Like, you're like, why am I worried about things that far off? No, you must worry about things that far off. And for me, I know like you might get to 40 and think it's never too late. You might have to invest more, take higher risks because actually you are older. That's okay. But you don't want to get to that point where you actually realize I'm 70, 75, 80 years old and I have to continue working because I actually can't afford to retire. And I don't know, Dr. Frank, if you want to speak about some of the stuff that we have. Yeah.
Yeah, I can just add a couple of things. You know, what's so interesting about retirement, just build on Candice's idea first, is somehow you just think you'll be okay when you get there. Right? Kind of the mind just tricks you. You just think, I'll be okay. You know, you don't plan. When we do interviews in our financial education network, that's one common thing. That I'm surprised I'm 55, but I don't have, I haven't put anything aside. People often change jobs and, we cash in our pension and we lose, kind of growth from it. So I can certainly tell you that one of the biggest challenges that we have found at Nedbank that make people not prepare well for retirement, it's this idea of I am faced with problems of today. I've got financial stress today. I need to survive today. So the today pulls us so much that we whether we deliberate or not, it's another point, but we just can't get to the planning for the future, right? That's one thing. I think the other thing I want to add and to bring to your idea of kids and can say also the Chowtown is this. One of the biggest things, I want you to reflect on it yourself. What is one of the biggest wealth destroyers for all of us here? Men and female, right? Yes, death is an outcome of that, but before you even get to that, it's a psychological thing. What is it called? You know that when you're in the movie, da-da-da-da, drum roll before it comes. It's this instant gratification. I want it now, right? And so I'm not prepared to put aside I'm not prepared to wait. For me, it takes back, and you can see here without revealing my age, it takes me back to the good old lay-by. Imagine how disciplined our parents were. 6 months, Buffett. 6 months of putting, then you go and get it. I'm simply saying to you, you need to reflect what role does instant gratification play in your life? Because if you can't solve for instant gratification, you're going to have problems in retirement. Because you spend it now. You don't plan. You can't wait. You're impatient. You find reasons, to kind of, I get it and I want it now, right? And so, if we pull all that together, what is it that we've done as a bank? And our competitors are also doing that. It's this. For me, it's one thing. I look at when I started, you think of a budget. You're thinking of maybe taking a piece of paper and you must write, or if you're good, you do it on Excel. But it's a chore. It's hard. Good people, I want to say this to you. We know women, by the way, from also our research, planning. That's a strength among many women. Planning, right? And so, if we can marry that planning skill with budgeting, you don't need to do it on paper. Guys, you have an app.
Our app does it for you.
Our app does it for you there, right? So, guys, there are so
I
many
have
apps.
it. It works.
There are so many. Make technology work for you. Can I
Yeah.
give you an example that drives what Kenzi's saying about retirement, right? So I want to put money aside. But I know, my goodness, I know my money archetype if I'm the giver. For some, a money archetype is about status, right? All those might not help us prepare for retirement. So we're saying money, whilst it's rands and cents, I hope you have got the sense that this thing, and you mean it's about psychology. It's here. It's your mindset. It's what money means to you. So you got to know what money means to you. Then you must protect yourself. From who? From yourself. You say, I know when it's in the account, I spend it. I don't even want to think about it. What am I going to do? I'm just going to make an automatic stop out from my check account into a savings account, into my unit. I don't even have to think about it. Whether it's 100, whether it's 1,000, it doesn't matter. Often people say to me, Kenz, Dr. Max, 100 rand. Malingane. I say, oh, wait a minute. What's 100 times 6? Then they say 600. I'm saying, 600? Is it little? I'm going to get 600. Do you have 600? Right? And then you say times 12, 1,200. Do you have 1,200 lying around? If you put 100 rands a month and you don't touch it for 12 months, 1,200 you didn't have. And if you automate through apps, if you tell the app to track your expenses, you don't even have to do it yourself. It picks up over time. You shop here, this is fuel, this is clothes, this is food, this is transport, and suddenly the budget is done for you. Why? Because you made such a powerful point. The point about money, it must serve us. We must be in the driving seat. So a budget is just a spending plan. You're telling the money where to go. So you reflect on that app and you say, I'm spending 50% on this category. Let's just say needs. Yeah, this is okay for day to day. I'm spending 40% on wants, but I'm not saving. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Right? And there's no judging. It's you asking yourself this powerful question. The way I'm spending money today, is it serving me well? Is it taking me to the future? That we had Yolanda talking about your future 10, 15 years. So just sit back and say to yourself, my spending patterns, are they getting me to where I want to be, in 10 years? Are they getting me to come to a point on retirement? To retirement, it starts today by just having the discipline. Finish off on retirement. Ladies, I have to ask you this. When last did you look at if you're in formal employment, your benefit statement? See, how many of you go and say, where is the money? Where is it invested? How much do I have now? How is it growing? Our research at NetBank tells us most people start working. They want more money to take home. They take less risk with their pension money. And they put it in cash-like instruments, a money market, that have low returns and low risk. And they never change it. And so it doesn't grow. So I would like to offer you what we offer when you do financial training at NetBank. When did you last have a date with your money? When? Once a week? Once a month? Have a date with your money. Have a conversation. Am I managing it so that I'm financially well and I get to this future that Yolanda spoke about with the way I'm managing my money, including retirement?
At this point, my team might actually lift my chair and put me in the bathroom for time management. Everywhere I look, someone is...
You're in trouble.
I'm going to stop this conversation here because this is not where it ends. This is not where it ends. It was very interesting when you said money dates because I said we're going to have several money dates.
Absolutely.
Going into the end of the year because we all know there's a Christmas shopping situation that's coming.
And
We all
gifting.
know that there's gifting, Kenzie. Kenzie, hold on to your purse. We all know that January rolls in and then the school fees. It's so crazy how we repeat the same cycles over and over again. And in the same way that Dr. Frank mentions, we can't even judge it because this is habitual. And the only way to change habit into intersect it with a new and positive habit. So our new and positive habit for Agenda Women going forward will be establishing money dates.
Yeah.
So I'm going to close this conversation here. Thank you, Lisigo and Lisigo, for your courage.
Yeah. Thank you. Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kenzie, for your insights. I am a big believer in data giving us the opportunity to introspect and to make different decisions. And that's why I love the work that you guys do, because it's so data-driven. It's not just an idea that came from a marketing office somewhere. It is a data-backed idea and concept that you're sharing with us. And Dr. Frank, for the stories and the insights as well. This is going to be the end of the panels. We're going to move into Mental Power Hour. Before we do, I will invite a representative from Glade who are presenting Mental Power Hour to us this year to have a quick word. It's not going to be a conversation because we will be standing. So as soon as my panel gets off stage, we will go ahead and have that quick word from Glade around why they decided to power Mental Power Hour. Thank you so much to everyone in the network panel.